The gun is cold against Michael's temple, but what makes his breath catch isn't the weapon. It's the woman holding it. She's straddling him in the chair, thighs pressing against his hips, her other hand fisted in his collar. This close, you can see gold flecks in her brown eyes, smell expensive perfume mixing with gunpowder residue. She's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, and she's absolutely going to kill him. "Give me one reason," she whispers, lips an inch from his, "why I shouldn't put a bullet in your brain right now, analyst." Michael's heart hammers. 12 hours ago, he was tracking shipping manifests in a Miami office. Now he's zip-tied to a chair in some converted colonial mansion, and Camila Reyes, queenpin of the largest cartel on the eastern seaboard, the woman he's been hunting for 8 months, is pressed against him like a lover about to strike. "Because you're curious," he manages, voice steady despite everything. "You've had me for 3 hours. Could have killed me in the parking lot. But you brought me here. You want to know what I know." Her finger tightens on the trigger, confident for a dead man. "Not confident, observant. You're testing me, seeing if I'll beg or break. But here's what I've observed about you, Camila." He leans forward slightly, and her breath hitches. "You don't waste bullets on people who bore you. So either shoot me, or let's have a real conversation." For a long moment, nothing. Just her eyes searching his face, the pressure of the gun, the dangerous heat between them. Then she laughs, low and dark and surprised. "You're either the bravest man I've ever met," she says, sliding off him but keeping the gun trained on his chest, "or the stupidest. Let's find out which." She walks to a bar cart, pours 2 glasses of rum, and Michael realizes with sudden clarity his life just changed forever, and not in any way his DEA training prepared him for. 18 hours earlier, Michael Graves sat in his sedan outside the port of Miami, reviewing surveillance footage on his tablet. Container ships, manifests, shipment patterns, the boring work that actually solved cases. He'd been tracking anomalies for 8 months, building a case against the Reyes organization one data point at a time. He never saw the black SUVs until they boxed him in. The extraction was professional, 5 men, tactical gear, no wasted movement. His service weapon was removed before his hand reached his hip. A hood came down and the world went dark. The drive took 3 hours. When the hood finally came off, Michael blinked in the sudden light of what looked like an old sugar mill. Soaring ceilings, colonial architecture, but updated with modern security. Cameras in every corner, armed guards at every exit, and her. Camila Reyes stood backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows, moonlight turning her into something between a woman and a weapon. The intelligence photos hadn't captured this, the way she moved with absolute certainty, every gesture controlled and deliberate. She wore all black tactical pants and a fitted shirt, her dark hair pulled back severe. 28 years old, and she'd already survived a succession war after her father's assassination. "Michael Graves," she said, her accent subtle, American education with Cuban roots underneath. "DEA analyst, cyber division, 42 open cases, 100% conviction rate on the ones you take to trial. Divorced 3 years, no children. Lives alone in Coral Gables. Your mother makes tamales every Sunday, and you haven't missed a dinner in 4 months." Michael's jaw tightened. They'd been in his life, close enough to know his routines. "Impressive research," he said evenly. "I'm thorough." She circled him slowly, heels clicking on vintage tile. "You've been watching my shipments. What did you find?" "Enough." She paused, clearly expecting him to elaborate. When he didn't, something shifted in her expression. Surprise maybe, respect possibly. "You're not afraid," she observed. "Would it help if I was?" The question seemed to catch her off guard. She leaned in close enough that he could smell her perfume, something expensive with an edge, close enough that he could see a thin scar on her collarbone, barely visible. "Most men in zip ties don't ask me questions," she said softly. "I'm not most men." Her eyes narrowed, reassessing. Then her phone buzzed, and whatever moment existed between them shattered. Her second in command burst through the door, Mateo, according to Michael's files. Late 30s, loyal since childhood, dangerous in the way of men who've survived by being smart and ruthless. "We have a problem," he said in rapid Spanish, then glanced at Michael. "Should I?" He understands Spanish, Camila cut him off. What happened? Hector hit 3 operations tonight. Took down the Wynwood warehouse, intercepted the Miami Beach shipment, and turned 6 of our street dealers. He's moving against you. Michael watched Camila process this, saw the calculations behind her eyes. Hector Reyes, her father's brother, passed over for leadership when the old man chose his daughter as successor. Files said he'd been making noise about women not being fit to lead. How many casualties? Camila's voice was ice. 12, 3 dead, rest injured or arrested. She was silent for a long moment. Then, consolidate our people. I want a full accounting of our vulnerable positions by dawn and find out who the fuck gave Hector our schedules. Mateo left. Camila stood at the window, tension visible in her shoulders. When she finally turned back, Michael made a decision that would either save his life or end it. He's testing you, Michael said. Your uncle. He wants you to retaliate emotionally so he can tell the cartel leadership you're unstable. Camila's hand went to the gun at her hip. Careful, analyst. Michael, and I'm just pointing out strategy. If you were smart, which your Wharton MBA suggests you are, you'd absorb the hit and strike where he doesn't expect it. Show the leadership you're strategic, not reactive. The silence stretched dangerously. Why? Camila said slowly. Would I listen to the man trying to put me in prison? Because if your uncle wins this power play, I'm dead regardless. My only chance at survival is you staying in power, which means, he met her eyes directly. Right now, our interests align. Camila stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised them both. She pulled out a knife and cut his zip ties. Michael rubbed his wrists, not making any sudden moves despite being free. You try to run. You're dead before you reach the door, she said. You try to signal for help. Everyone you love dies. Clear? Crystal. Good. She poured 2 glasses of rum. Expensive, aged, handed him one. You're going to help me destroy my uncle. Then we'll discuss whether you live or die. That's the best offer I've had all day. She almost smiled. Almost. Don't make me regret this, Michael. Wouldn't dream of it. But as they sat down with maps and shipping manifests, as Michael's analytical mind started working through her organization's vulnerabilities, he couldn't shake a dangerous thought. He wanted to understand her, not as a case file, not as a target, as a person. The intelligence report said she was ruthless, calculated, cold. But he'd seen the flash of pain when Mateo reported casualties, seen her steady herself before giving orders. This wasn't a woman who enjoyed violence. This was someone trapped by legacy, making impossible choices. And that made her more dangerous than any cartel boss he'd ever studied. Because Michael was starting to realize he didn't just want to understand Camila Reyes, he wanted to save her, which was the most dangerous thing he could possibly want. 3 days later, Michael stood by the pool at Camila's compound, reading Garcia Marquez in the original Spanish. He'd been given conditional freedom, a secured guest house, access to certain areas, always within sight of armed guards, a luxurious prison. He heard her heels before he saw her. You read Spanish, Camila said, not quite a question. Michael looked up, squinting in the afternoon sun. She'd traded tactical gear for white linen, a suit that somehow made her more intimidating, not less. My mother's from Houston, but her family's from Veracruz. She made sure we knew where we came from. He set the book down. You went to Wharton. She raised an eyebrow. You read that in a file. I did. But files don't tell you that someone chose business school over staying in the family business until circumstances forced their hand. He leaned back in the chair, watching her reaction. Your father's death wasn't just personal. It was strategic chaos that pulled you back from Philadelphia into a world you were trying to escape. Camila's expression flickered, surprise, then something harder. You think you know me? Because you read some reports? No. I think I'm starting to understand you because I pay attention to what you don't say. She sat down across from him, a careful distance away. And what am I not saying, analyst? That you're exhausted. That you never wanted this life. That every decision you make is a choice between bad options and worse ones. He paused. And that you're lonely as hell at the top. For a moment, her mask slipped. He saw the woman underneath, younger, more vulnerable than she allowed anyone to see. Careful, she said softly. Understanding me doesn't make us friends. No, Michael agreed, but it makes working together easier. They sat in charged silence, the air between them electric with things neither could say. That night, everything went to hell. Michael was in the compound security room with Camila and her lieutenants when the calls started coming in. Coordinated attacks on 3 major operations, the timing too precise to be coincidence. "It's Hector," Mateo said, pulling up surveillance feeds. "He hit our distribution center in Hialeah, the safe house in Kendall, and intercepted a shipment at Port Everglades." Camila's face was stone. "Casualties?" 12 dead, 23 arrested. We lost $3 million in product." The room erupted in arguments, her men shouting about retaliation, about hitting Hector's operations, about showing strength. Camila stood silent at the center of the storm, and Michael could see her calculating, weighing options. Then, she started issuing orders. Prepare for a strike on Hector's warehouse, mobilize their street soldiers, send a message that attacks would be answered with overwhelming force. Michael watched this unfold and knew she was making a mistake. The kind of mistake that came from pressure, from everyone expecting her to be her father. "Wait," he said. Every gun in the room turned toward him. Camila's hand rose, stopping her men from acting. "You're thinking like it's about territory," Michael continued, standing slowly. "It's not. Your uncle doesn't want your operations. He wants to prove you can't protect them. He's not trying to take power. He's trying to demonstrate you're unfit to hold it." "And your solution?" Camila's voice was dangerously quiet. Don't retaliate. Not yet. He wants you emotional, wants to parade your feminine weakness to the Cartel Council. Instead, you absorb the hit and investigate. Find out who inside your organization gave him the information to coordinate those strikes, because someone did. "That's fucking stupid," one of her lieutenants snarled. "We look weak." "You look strategic," Michael cut him off. "You show the council you're not reactive, that you play a longer game. And while everyone's watching for your retaliation, you gather proof that Hector's been dealing with rival cartels. Then, you destroy him politically before you touch him physically." The silence was absolute. Camila stared at Michael, something shifting in her expression. Then, she turned to her men. "Do what he said. Find the leak. I want names by morning." The room cleared, leaving just Camila, Mateo, and Michael. "You're trusting him?" Mateo asked in Spanish. "I'm listening to him," Camila corrected. "There's a difference." When Mateo left, she turned to Michael. "Why are you helping me?" It was the same question she'd asked 3 days ago, but this time, Michael's answer was different. "Because you're brilliant," he said simply. "You shouldn't be trapped in a life that requires you to be someone you're not." Camila's breath caught. "You don't know who I am." "No." Michael stepped closer. "You're the woman who memorized business theory but leads with instinct, who makes hard choices and then lies awake wondering if they were right, who learned to be ruthless because gentleness was used against you, but who still flinches when you hear casualty counts." He was close enough now to see her pulse jumping at her throat. "You're the woman everyone sees as a threat, but who I'm starting to see is just trapped." "Don't," she whispered, but she didn't move away. "Don't what?" "Don't make me into something I'm not. Some victim you can save. I've done terrible things, Michael. I've ordered executions. I've destroyed lives. I know what you are," he interrupted. "I've read every file, seen every crime scene photo, but I also see who you could be if you weren't fighting for survival every single day." They stood inches apart, the air between them charged with everything they couldn't say. Camila pulled back first. "This is dangerous." "I know. We're on opposite sides." "I know that too." "Then why does it feel like you're the first person who's actually on my side in years?" They worked through the night, mapping her organization, identifying potential leaks, building a strategy to expose Hector without appearing weak. Michael's analytical mind complemented Camila's instinct for power dynamics perfectly. Around 2 a.m., Mateo left to coordinate the investigation. They were alone in the war room, surrounded by maps and files, the compound quiet except for distant guards. Camila poured expensive rum. "To strange partnerships," she said, handing Michael a glass. They drank. Then, "Why DEA?" she asked. Michael's jaw tightened. "My brother overdosed when he was 17. I thought if I understood the supply chain, if I could stop the drugs from getting here. He trailed off. Sounds naive now. No, Camila said quietly, something raw in her voice. It sounds like love. And you? Michael asked. You had a choice once. What made you come back? She was quiet for a long time. My father was murdered. My mother was... She couldn't function. My younger sisters were 12 and 14, and the cartel was circling like sharks, waiting to see if a woman could possibly hold power. She finished her rum. I came back because if I didn't, they'd all be dead within a month. So I learned to be what they needed me to be. Hard, ruthless, willing to do what my father did. But you're not him, Michael said softly. No, I'm something worse, someone who knows better but does it anyway. They were sitting close now, close enough that when Michael reached for a file, his hand brushed hers. Neither pulled away. I think, Michael said carefully, that you're someone doing the best she can in an impossible situation. That's not worse, that's just human. Camila looked at him, really looked, and Michael saw the moment she stopped seeing him as just an asset or threat, saw the moment he became something more complicated, more dangerous. I should send you back to your guest house, she said, but her voice had gone soft. Probably. Neither of them moved. Outside, guards patrolled. Somewhere in Miami, her uncle was planning his next move. The DEA was probably searching for Michael's body. Their worlds were colliding in ways that would destroy them both. But in that moment, sitting close in the early morning hours, surrounded by evidence of the lives they'd built on opposite sides of a war, in that moment, they were just two people who understood each other's loneliness. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. 1 week later, Camila executed Michael's strategy perfectly. Instead of retaliating against her uncle's operations, she'd spent the week investigating. Michael helped her follow the digital trail, money transfers, encrypted communications, shipping manifests that didn't quite add up. What they found was damning. Hector had been secretly negotiating with the Sinaloa cartel, offering them distribution access to Miami in exchange for backing his claim to leadership. He wasn't just challenging Camila, he was preparing to sell out the family business entirely. When Camila presented the evidence to the cartel council, Hector's support evaporated. The old men who'd been whispering about women in leadership suddenly saw a different story. A young queenpin who'd shown restraint, strategy, and loyalty to the family organization while her uncle had been planning to betray them all. The council stripped Hector of their protection. Camila didn't have to order his death. His own betrayal had already signed that warrant. 24 hours later, Hector Reyes was found dead in a warehouse he'd been using for his Sinaloa dealings. Camila had won, decisively. That night, she did something unexpected. She appeared at Michael's guest house at midnight, alone. "Get dressed," she said. "We're going out." "I'm your prisoner," Michael pointed out. "Going out seems, do you want to stay locked up or do you want to see the ocean?" He got dressed. They drove in silence to a private beach north of the compound, just Camila and Michael, and 2 guards who stayed at the car. The Caribbean stretched dark and endless before them, stars overhead. Camila kicked off her heels, walked to the water's edge. Michael followed. "Thank you," she said finally, "for the strategy. It worked." "You executed it," Michael replied. "I just pointed out the logic." "No," she turned to face him. "You gave me permission to be smart instead of just strong, to play a longer game instead of reacting. No one's given me that before." They stood close, waves washing over their feet, and Michael felt the weight of everything shifting between them. "You're free to go," Camila said suddenly. "What?" "Tomorrow. I'll have you driven to the embassy. You can go home, write your reports, tell them whatever story you need to tell. This is over." But the way she said it, there was a challenge underneath, a test. "And if I don't want it to be over?" The words came out before Michael could stop them. Camila's breath caught. "Then you're a fool." "Probably." "Michael." He kissed her, or she kissed him. Later, neither could say who moved first. Just that one moment they were adversaries discussing his freedom. And the next, they were tangled together on the sand, months of tension finally breaking. Her hands fisted in his shirt, his fingers threaded through her hair. They kissed like drowning people gasping for air, desperate, hungry, almost violent in their need. "This is insane," Camila gasped between kisses. We can't. "I know. You should run. Get away from me while you can." "I know that too." But neither of them stopped. They stumbled up the beach to where she'd spread a blanket earlier. Planned this, Michael realized. She'd known what would happen when she brought him here. They made love on that beach with desperate urgency, shedding clothes and defenses in equal measure. Camila clung to him like he was the only solid thing in her world, and Michael held her like she was precious instead of dangerous. Afterward, they lay tangled together under the stars, and Michael traced the scar on her collarbone. "Knife fight when I was 24, she murmured. "One of my father's rivals who didn't think women should be in the family business. I put him in the hospital for 6 months. "Good." She laughed softly against his chest. "You're supposed to be horrified by my violence." "I'm supposed to be a lot of things." He kissed her temple. "But apparently I'm terrible at following rules." They stayed like that for hours, knowing morning would force them back to reality, but stealing this one night of pretending they were just two people who'd found each other. Dawn came too soon. They drove back to the compound in silence, the weight of what they'd done settling over them. When they arrived, Camila walked him to his guest house, and Michael saw his phone sitting on the table, returned from the safe where it had been locked for 2 weeks. He turned it on. 17 missed calls from his supervisor, 6 from his sister, dozens of messages escalating from "Where are you?" to "We're sending search teams." "I've been gone 12 days, Michael said quietly. Camila stood in the doorway, already putting her armor back on, physically and emotionally. Her hair was pulled back, her expression controlled. "So go back." "Camila, don't." Her voice was sharp. "Don't make this into something it's not. We helped each other. We had one night. That's all this is." But her hands shook slightly as she adjusted her watch. "You don't believe that," Michael said. "What I believe doesn't matter." She looked at him and he saw pain behind the hardness. "You're DEA. I run a cartel. There's no universe where this ends well. So take the out I'm giving you. Go home. Forget this happened." "What if I can't forget?" "Then you'll survive with a memory instead of dying in my world." She turned to leave, then paused. "You were right, you know, about me being trapped. But the cage is too strong to break, Michael. Don't waste your life trying." She left before he could respond. Michael returned to Miami. The debrief was brutal. Where was he? What happened? Why didn't he call for extraction? He gave them a story. Tracking a lead, got made, went dark to protect his identity. They didn't fully believe him, but they couldn't prove otherwise. Then his supervisor, Agent Carson, dropped a file on the desk. Fresh intelligence on the Reyes organization, a major shipment in 2 weeks. "This is your chance, Graves. Prove you're still committed to the job. Help us take down the Reyes cartel." Michael opened the file. Inside was everything they'd need to destroy Camila's empire. Distribution schedules, financial records, names of her lieutenants, and a surveillance photo of Camila from last week, looking powerful and untouchable, and nothing like the woman who'd whispered his name in the dark. "What do you say?" Carson pressed. "You in?" Michael stared at the file, knowing his answer would determine everything. "I need time to review," he heard himself say. "This is complex." "We don't have time. The shipment's in 2 weeks." "Then I'll work fast." Carson nodded, satisfied. Michael took the file back to his apartment, sat at his desk, and stared at Camila's photo for hours. His phone rang at 2 a.m., unknown number. "It's me." Camila's voice was rough, like she'd been drinking or crying or both. "Tell me you gave them everything." "I didn't." "Why not?" She sounded almost angry. "That's your job. That's who you are." "I don't know anymore." The line was quiet for so long he thought she'd hung up. Then, "I can't do this, Michael. I can't be the woman who falls for the man trying to destroy her legacy. That's not who I am." "Then who are you?" "I don't know anymore either." She hung up. Michael sat in his dark apartment, holding the phone, knowing he'd compromised everything he believed in. His career, his integrity, his mission to stop the drugs that killed his brother. All of it burning in the face of what he felt for a woman he had no right to love. He tried to convince himself it was temporary insanity, that he'd come to his senses, do his job, let the system work as designed. But as he looked at that surveillance photo again, at Camila's guarded expression, the loneliness behind her power. Michael knew the truth. He was already lost, and he wasn't sure he wanted to be found. 3 weeks passed. Michael took himself off the Reyes case, claiming conflict of interest after his kidnapping. His supervisor accepted it reluctantly. Camila threw herself into expanding operations, taking bigger risks, pushing harder. Both were miserable. Both pretended they were fine. Then Mateo called Michael at 4 a.m. "She's walking into a trap," he said without preamble. "Tonight, she got intelligence about a DEA mole in her organization, set up a sting to catch them. And I think it's the opposite. I think she's being set up, but she won't listen. Mateo's voice cracked slightly. "She's been different since you left, reckless, like she doesn't care anymore." Michael was already getting dressed. "Where?" Mateo gave him an address, a warehouse in Hialeah. "Michael, whatever happened between you two, she's not the same. Fix it or stay away, but don't let her die thinking nobody gives a shit." The line went dead. Michael broke every traffic law getting there. He arrived to find the warehouse surrounded by SUVs, not DEA vehicles, not police. Wrong kind of backup entirely. He called it in anyway, knowing it was probably too late. The trap was perfect. Camila walked into that warehouse expecting to find a traitor in her organization. Instead, she found 8 Sinaloa soldiers and a DEA agent she'd never seen before. Someone bought and paid for, wearing a federal badge. The firefight was brutal. Camila's people were outgunned, outmaneuvered. She watched 3 of her men die in the first 60 seconds. Watched Mateo take a bullet to the chest, trying to cover her retreat. She made it out by pure survival instinct and ruthlessness, leaving bodies behind. But Mateo didn't make it. Michael arrived to chaos, emergency vehicles, crime scene tape, body bags being loaded. He flashed his DEA credentials, got close enough to see Mateo's covered body, and then he saw her. Camila sat in the back of an ambulance, blood on her clothes, not hers, staring at nothing. A paramedic was trying to check her for injuries. She looked hollowed out. Michael's supervisor appeared beside him. "Reyes' operation went wrong. We had an agent embedded. He got made. This is a clusterfuck." "Who authorized it?" "Carson. Said he had solid intel about a weapons shipment. Turns out his source was compromised. Likely Sinaloa playing both sides." Michael's blood went cold. "Where's Carson now?" "Disappeared. We think he got paid off, ran before this blew up in his face." Michael looked back at Camila. She'd spotted him, and the look in her eyes was pure devastation. She thought he'd done this. Camila appeared at Michael's apartment at 3 a.m. with 3 armed men. She didn't knock, just kicked in the door. Michael woke to a gun pressed to his forehead. "Was any of it real?" Her voice was dead calm, which was somehow worse than screaming. "Or was I just an assignment you got too deep into?" "Camila, I didn't. Mateo's dead." Her voice cracked on his name. "My best friend since we were kids. Dead because someone gave Sinaloa my operational details. And you know what's funny? Those details came from your original surveillance data, the stuff you collected before I took you. I didn't leak. 8 men dead, Michael. People with families, with kids, and you." She pressed the gun harder. "You made me believe you saw me as something other than a target, made me feel things I had no right to feel. And the whole time, you were probably reporting back, compromising my operations. If you're going to kill me, do it," Michael interrupted, looking directly at her. "But don't lie to yourself about what happened between us. That was real. That's why you're hesitating." Her hand shook. "Give me one reason you should live." "Because I love you," he said simply. "And I had nothing to do with what happened tonight, but I'm going to find out who did." Something in Camila's expression cracked. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't say that." "Why not? It's true." "Because it makes everything worse." The gun lowered slightly. "Because if you love me, then I just lost everyone I care about. And if you don't, if this is some manipulation, then I'm the stupidest person alive for falling for it." Michael slowly reached up, moved the gun aside. "I took myself off your case 3 weeks ago. Refused to work any operation involving you. My supervisor nearly fired me. I've been protecting you, Camila, even when I shouldn't." "Then who leaked my operation tonight?" "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." She stared at him, tears streaming down her face now, the first time he'd seen her truly break. Mateo's dead because of this world. How many more people do I lose before I admit this is poison? Let me help you. How? Her voice was raw. By arresting me, by destroying everything I've built. By finding who's playing both of us. Because someone is. Michael stood carefully. That ambush was too coordinated. Sinaloa got your intelligence, but they also got a DEA agent there, wearing a badge. Someone's orchestrating this, using both our systems against each other. Camila's lieutenants were still in the doorway, watching this unfold. She waved them out. When they were alone, she finally lowered the gun completely. I don't know how to do this, she said quietly. I don't know how to trust anyone anymore. Then don't trust me. Just let me investigate. What have you got to lose? Everything. But she was already calculating, her brilliant mind working through the implications. If you're lying, if you betray me again, I know, you'll kill me. I'm clear on that. She laughed, a broken sound. You're either the bravest man I've ever met or the stupidest. You said that when we met, Michael reminded her. Still, haven't decided which? No. She looked at him with something like wonder and despair mixed together. I think you might be both. Camila left before dawn, taking her guards but leaving the gun on Michael's table, a gesture of something, though neither was sure what. Michael stood at his window, watching the sun rise, knowing he'd just crossed a line he could never uncross. He was actively choosing Camila over his duty, his career, everything he'd built his life around. And the terrifying part was how easy the choice had been. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I have information about Carson. Come alone. Tomorrow, midnight. An address in the industrial district followed. Michael stared at the message, knowing it was probably a trap, knowing he'd go anyway because it was the only lead he had. Somewhere in Miami, people were using him and Camila as pawns in a bigger game. The DEA was compromised, the cartels were playing both sides, and everyone he cared about was in danger. But as he looked at that gun Camila had left behind, the one she'd pressed to his head then set down as an offering of tentative trust, Michael made a decision. He was done playing by anyone's rules but his own. If the system was corrupt, he'd burn it down to protect her. If that made him a traitor, so be it. He'd rather be a traitor who saved the woman he loved than a loyal agent who watched her die. Michael went to that midnight meeting armed and expecting betrayal. What he got instead was worse. The truth. The informant was a low-level DEA tech analyst, someone nobody paid attention to. She brought him files, recordings, transaction records. Carson's been running protection for Sinaloa for 3 years, she said, her voice shaking, using DEA intelligence to eliminate their competition. When you got taken by Reyes, he saw an opportunity. Use your original surveillance data to compromise her operations, make it look like you were the leak if anyone investigated. Michael's jaw clenched. The ambush that killed her people? All Carson? He fed bad intel to Reyes about a mole, then tipped off Sinaloa about her response. Used one of their paid agents wearing a DEA badge to make it look official. She pushed a flash drive across the table. It's all here. Enough to bring down not just Carson but 17 other compromised agents. The entire Miami DEA office is dirty. Why give this to me? Because I joined to stop drugs, not protect them, and because, she met his eyes, because everyone knows you got too close to the Reyes woman. You're the only one who might actually want to save her instead of using this to destroy her. Michael took the drive. You know this makes you a target. I know, but some things are worth the risk. Michael brought the evidence to Camila at 3 a.m., appearing at her compound's gates and refusing to leave until she saw him. When she finally came down, flanked by guards, he handed her the drive without preamble. Everything's on here. Names, transactions, proof that DEA has been corrupted by Sinaloa. They've been using both of us, using me to map your operations, then using that intel to set you up for hits while protecting your competition. Camila plugged the drive into her laptop, read in silence for 10 minutes. This proves you're innocent, she said finally, in Mateo's death, in all of it. I know. So why give it to me? You could use this to clear your name, rebuild your career. Because this is bigger than my career. He moved closer. They've been using us, pitting us against each other while they profit from the chaos. I'm tired of being a pawn, aren't you? Camila looked at him, really looked, and something shifted in her expression. What are you proposing? Partnership, real partnership. You use this evidence to eliminate your enemies. I use it to expose the corruption. We dismantle the game from both sides. And then what? Her voice was soft, almost vulnerable. We ride off into the sunset? I don't know, Michael admitted. Maybe there's no happy ending for people like us. But maybe we can go down fighting on the same side instead of destroying each other. Camila was quiet for a long moment. Then, if we do this, if we really commit to this, there's no going back. You'll be burning every bridge, making enemies of people who were supposed to be allies. Already done that by falling in love with you, she laughed, surprising them both. You're insane. Probably, but I'm your kind of insane. Yeah, she said softly, moving into his space. You really are. They kissed, and this time it wasn't desperate or urgent. It was a promise, a commitment to whatever came next. Okay, Camila said when they pulled apart. Let's burn it all down. What followed was a carefully orchestrated demolition. Michael provided the evidence to the FBI, bypassing the compromised DEA entirely. The scope of the corruption was massive. It couldn't be ignored or buried. Federal prosecutors moved fast. Simultaneously, Camila used the intel to strike at Sinaloa operations, not random violence, but surgical hits that exposed their leadership to rival cartels and law enforcement. She turned their own tactics against them. Carson was arrested trying to flee to Costa Rica. 17 other agents were indicted. The entire Miami DEA office was gutted and rebuilt from scratch. Sinaloa's East Coast operations collapsed as their protection evaporated and their enemies smelled blood. Through all of it, Michael and Camila worked in parallel, never quite together officially, but coordinated like dancers who'd learned each other's rhythms. Michael testified before a federal grand jury. His career was over, but he accomplished something bigger. He broke the corrupt system that had been protecting criminals while pretending to fight them. 6 months later, Camila did something that shocked everyone who knew her. She announced she was transitioning the family, business. My father built an empire on blood, she told her remaining lieutenants in a meeting Michael wasn't present for, but heard about later. I'm going to transform it into something that doesn't require me to become a monster to maintain it. It meant moving money into legitimate businesses, creating exit strategies for people who wanted out, cutting ties completely with the trafficking side of operations. Some of her people left immediately. They'd signed up for the cartel life, not corporate transformation. Others stayed, grateful for a chance to go legitimate. It would take years, maybe it would fail. But for the first time since her father's death, Camila was choosing her own path instead of following his. Michael, unemployed and unemployable by federal agencies, found unexpected work consulting for NGOs that fought trafficking, using his knowledge of cartel operations to protect victims instead of prosecuting criminals. They didn't live together, didn't try to force their complicated lives into a traditional relationship. But there was a villa in Costa Rica, neutral territory purchased with legitimate money, where they met when they could. Camila found Michael on the terrace at sunset, watching the ocean with a drink in hand. The board approved the transition plan, she said, sliding into the chair beside him. We're officially out of trafficking by year's end. Just legitimate import, export, and real estate holdings. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, like I'm betraying my father and honoring him at the same time. She accepted the drink he'd poured for her. Think we'll survive this? Us? Or the individual missions to transform criminal empires and corrupt federal agencies? Both. Michael considered this. I think we've got better odds together than apart. That's not very reassuring. No, but it's honest. She laughed, something she did more often now, in this space they'd carved out away from their complicated worlds. I love you, analyst, even though you've completely ruined my life. I love you too, Queenpin, even though you've ruined mine. They kissed as the sun set over the Pacific, two people who'd chosen each other despite every rational reason not to. Camila pulled back, her expression serious. Do you ever regret it? Everything you gave up? Do you? Michael countered. I asked first. No. He laced his fingers through hers. I spent years chasing justice through a system that was fundamentally corrupt. At least now I know what I'm fighting for. Not an idea of justice, but actual people trying to survive impossible situations. That's very philosophical for someone who used to live by the rule book. You corrupted me, he said with a smile. Taught me that sometimes the right thing and the legal thing aren't the same. And you taught me that strength isn't just about holding power, it's about having the courage to transform it. She leaned against him, comfortable in a way she'd never been with anyone else. We're quite the pair. Bonnie and Clyde? God, I hope not. They died in a shootout. Fair point. How about two people who found each other in the chaos and decided to build something better? That's less catchy, but more accurate. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun disappear into the ocean, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Michael? Camilla said softly. Yeah? Thank you. For seeing me when no one else did. For loving the person under the crown instead of fearing the queen. Thank you, he replied. For showing me that justice isn't about following rules. It's about fighting for the people who matter, even when the system tells you they're the enemy. She kissed him again, and in that moment, on that terrace overlooking the ocean, they weren't a DEA analyst and a cartel queenpin. They weren't representatives of opposing sides in an endless war. They were just Camilla and Michael, two people who'd found each other against impossible odds and chosen to build something better than what they'd inherited. The story didn't end with happily ever after. There would be more challenges, more complicated situations, more impossible choices. But they would face them together, and that was enough.